Hey, what's up, guys? John here. We're going to go through some really important data points. So 25% of all buyers in Tampa are corporations, 25%. And rents have been skyrocketing, increased about 25% in Tampa this year. And what we're going to go through is we're going to look at first and foremost Bill Gates' new $3.5 billion investment along the waterfront in Tampa and the big changes that are coming to Tampa, which I think could swipe through most cities. I think we're going to see a lot of this corporation grip, really this corporate grip along the real estate from both residential, commercial, retail, and especially industrial. I think it's going to basically be a really big move here. So I'm going to share with you what is going on. First and foremost, what's up, everybody in the chat? So this just came out today that 25% of recent home purchases are by corporations, not people. 25%. And they're saying 24.8% is how much rent has spiked from July to September. So 24.8%. And they're saying that's the average across America is about 11%. 11%. So when we're looking at what's going on in Tampa before was a place for the middle class. It wasn't, it was nice. It was gentrifying, as some would call, but it was affordable. It was a nice, affordable place to live. That's changing. Rents are getting very just out of control, almost comparable to what you'd pay in maybe Los Angeles or another, nice coastal city. Now, Tampa as available as affordable housing remains out of reach for many Americans during ongoing inflation. A fourth of all homes purchased in Tampa are being bought up by corporations, not people. 1 in 4 bought in Tampa from July to September, the third fiscal quarter, were bought by investment companies, according to a study of property purchases from Redfin. That's a higher portion than the rest of the country, where the percentage of investor-bought homes is 18%. That is still a whopping sum. Basically, 1 in 5 properties being traded right now is being traded into the hands of a corporation. Compared to the same time of year in 2020, the portion of homes bought by companies instead of families almost doubled. Even as housing inventory shrank and rental prices continued their fast upward trajectory. For Tampa's metro, the real estate market brought in roughly $1.65 billion. The median sale price, $282,000. Almost 5,000 homes were purchased by investors, of more than 20,000 that were sold from July to September. Home sales to investors were higher than previous quarters as well. From May to June 2021, you have 21,889 homes were sold. Of those homes, 4,225 were bought by investors, about 19% for the Tampa market. Nationally, only 16% of home sales were to investors purchases in Q2. Now, what we're seeing right now is we are seeing a whole new economy being, basically handed or really given to us. This new economy is going to change the middle class, and it's going to change, who the wealthy are. This is going to afford a lot of opportunity for a lot of young aspiring entrepreneurs to go out there and, take advantage of this change, because what other option is there? And try to use the capital that you're going to find through that new venture and try to deploy it into hard assets, because this fiat currency that we're all holding, this fiat currency is going to have a rough couple of years ahead. So the idea is to get as much of it as you can and deploy it intelligently. This all comes as more buyers are paying cash upfront to secure their homes. Real estate studies of the purchasing habits of Q3 showed 45.5% more people in Florida bought their single-family homes in cash. That is wild. 45.5% more people in Florida paid all cash. Even as inventory of homes available has dropped by 30%. If a quarter of the homes bought in that quarter went to companies instead of families, then available homes to first-time buyers or new Florida residents are even less available. At the same time, the rental and mortgage prices are up 18% from last year in Florida. Florida realtors reported prices for homes increased 25. This is wild. Home prices increased 25.2% in Tampa. Meanwhile, incomes they're maybe increasing 3% or 4%, but you have the great resignation. A lot of people are in between jobs. And when people are laid off or they're in between jobs, it makes it very hard, if not impossible, for people to qualify for traditional 30-year fixed financing. So what are they going to do? They're going to rent. And unfortunately, if 1 out of 4 buyers right now in the Tampa market is a corporation, they're going to pay a lot of that money that they're bringing in from their job to rent that place. Metropolitan statistical area, and we're up 6.5% compared to the previous quarter. In the North Sarasota, Bradenton, home prices are up even higher to 25.6% versus last year, and 6.6% the previous quarter. Another thing that these big corporations have is, they're getting capital at a very, very low rate, and they're able to raise a lot of it and deploy a lot of that capital. Unlike most people that are just, they're saving their money for a couple of years to go out there and buy a property. Some of these funds can raise 50, 100, 200, 500 million or more and just run out there and just buy up everything like what they're doing right now. Still, the Redfin study has its caveats. Their analysis of home and property purchases was focused on surveying the purchase records and checking if the buyers had certain keywords in their names. For this analysis, we looked at county sale records for home purchase from January 2000 through September 21. We define an investor as any buyer whose name includes at least one of the following keywords: LLC, trust, corp, homes. Redfin reported, we also define an investor as any buyer whose ownership code on a purchasing deed includes at least one of the following keywords: association, corporate trustee, company, joint venture, and corporate trust, right? So you're seeing the activity in Tampa. Well, this is what Bill Gates is doing right now. Bill Gates' divorce pulled up his Water Street investment. By the way, I drove through this Water Street investment property, and I don't know, a couple months ago. It was under construction. It took me about 20 minutes to get from one side of it to the other. It is massive. It is huge. I can't believe that this is owned by, an individual, Bill Gates, and his partner who he had invested with. Bill and Melinda Gates split their assets. Focus turns their significant stake to a $3.5 billion project. The $3.5 billion Water Street Tampa development, enveloping a swath of downtown Tampa, has largely been presented as a vision of a team led by Jeff Vinik, owner of Tampa Bay Lightning sports team. But Water Street has another partner. The developer in charge, Strategic Property Partners, is a joint venture between Vinik and Cascade Investments, the investment firm funded by one of the richest men, Bill Gates. Cascade is very much a silent partner. When its investment in Water Street was announced in 2014, then Lightning executive Todd Lewicki said Gates and his team do not want to be out front. And for 7 years, they haven't been, letting Vinik and Strategic Partners be the public face of Water Street. Lately, though, Cascade Investment entered the public eye in a big way. The multi-billion-dollar divorce between Gates and Melinda Gates has put many of the couple's assets and investments into the open. Billions in Cascade holdings have already been split up, with millions of shares in companies like AutoNation, Deere going to French Gates. Against the backdrop are reports of alleged workplace harassment by Gates and Cascade top executive Michael Larson, who coordinated the Tampa investment. Cascade's financial commitments to Water Street hotels, offices, and residences have never been disclosed, but the divorce shines a spotlight on just how deep-pocketed the influential company is. In spite of their vast holdings, they are very much a hands-on partner, said former mayor. I think they're looking to this as a model for future investments. Think about that. If you could do it here, you could export this model elsewhere in the country. They're just going around building cities. Strategic Property Partners referred questions to a spokesperson for Cascade, which declined to comment. A Lightning spokesperson referred questions for Vinik to Strategic Property Partners, who declined to comment on his behalf. Vinik is a partner in the team of local investors which have loaned $15 million to the Times Publishing Company, which owns the Tampa Bay Times. That's pretty impressive. This is the site here. So I drove from here, and then you're trying to drive around. It's just cranes, construction. It's actually pretty impressive. Like just all of the work, all the construction, everything that's around it. It's like its own city. It really is. It feels like you're driving around like a small city. Cascade's portfolio is reportedly worth $50 billion, about the same as an endowment of the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, one of the world's largest global philanthropic organizations. The company's holdings include a wide array of stocks and real estate, including hundreds of acres of farmland. It's more than hundreds. He owns, I think, 160,000 acres of farmland in North Florida and Georgia. For a while, it owned a chunk of the Six Flags theme park chain. At the time Cascade came to Tampa, the downtown development had no name other than Vinnicville. Interesting. And the plans Vinnick had disclosed were smaller in scope. Vinnick had started amassing property around Amal Arena after buying the Lightning in 2010. By mid-2014, his company is at nearly 25 acres. That year, he publicly projected the development would encompass 3 million square feet at a cost of $1 billion. After Cascade got involved, everything got bigger. Strategic Property Partners' real estate footprint boomed outward, encompassing the Tampa Marriott Waterside Hotel, the old Conagra Flour Mill, a land formerly owned by Port Tampa Bay, the Tampa Hillsborough Expressway Authority. Today, the company estimates the project will encompass 9 million square feet at a cost of $3.5 billion. As the project grew, so did commitments of public funding. The city and Hillsborough County pledged up to $100 million in funding to reimburse developers such as Strategic Property Partners for select facets of new downtown projects, including infrastructure. ProPublica, that Strategic Property Partners in 2018 lobbied then-Gov Rick Scott to label Water Street an opportunity zone, affording developers certain tax breaks for new investments. It's amazing what money will do. Meanwhile, in 2017, a Hillsborough legislative delegation lobbied for the creation of Water Street Independent Special District, which would allow it to collect assessments from commercial property owners to pay for neighborhood investments such as parks and Wi-Fi. The district was 50 acres then in April, 73.8 acres. 73.8 acres. How many miles is that? It is 73 acres is, there's no way that's 0.1 miles. How many miles is 73 acres? Maybe 0.1 miles? Seems a lot bigger than that. Maybe it's because of the way that it's situated. Cascade's involvement coincided with Water Street's goal of becoming the world's first well-certified city district, a standard administered by the International Well-Being Institute that tracks how health and wellness are incorporated into community design. That institute was created in 2013 by health-focused real estate company called Delos. In 2015, Vinnick and Cascade became the lead investors in a $108 million round of equity fundraising for Delos. Strategic Property Partners has sought out funding sources other than Cascade. In late 2014, developers got a $110 million loan from Massachusetts Mutual Fund Insurance Company, according to mortgage records filed by Hillsborough County. In July 2019, Vinnick mortgaged the Lightning's lease of the arena for a $102 million loan from Goldman. In September 2019, the developers borrowed $644 million from Bank OZK against several properties throughout Water Street. At the time, Bank OZK CEO George Gleason called this project a very conservative, high-quality project with great sponsorship, according to the transcripts. Should Cascade's financial backing falter, one needn't look far for an example of the potential impact. In 2009, Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation pledged a grant up to $100 million to Hillsborough County schools. It ended up being about $80 million. Much of the money went towards rising teacher salaries, contributing to a dangerously ballooning budget. When the grant ran out, the district couldn't afford the new costs, leading to staff cutbacks and contributing to an ongoing budgetary crisis. That said, couples with such resources as vast as Bill and Melinda Gates don't really face the same financial constraints as other divorcing couples, said Stuart Slotnick, CEO of Matrimonial and Family Law New York Buccaneer, this law firm which handles high net worth divorces across the country. Their combined fortunes mean no investment or project will ever run out of money, or that they'll need to sell off investments to make ends meet. He couldn't run out of capital if he tried. That's the risk of projects coming to a halt in more, let's say, run-of-the-mill divorces, is that capital becomes the issue. The fact that assets are being transferred from him to her voluntarily at this point also shows that this divorce is going to be worked out without kinks, without bumps in the road. Because quite honestly, when you're talking about this amount of money, there's nothing to fight over. Water Street could also end up with a Gates problem that goes beyond money. So, yeah, the New York Times reported in 2019 that Gates had a relationship with Jeffrey. Okay, well, let's see. Outside the relationship with Epstein, Gates had displayed what the New York Times called questionable behavior. So they go on to say this. Let's see. Larson, whose friendship Tampa historically is not a place to want to be a top of mind for Michael Larson. My sense is that Cascade is fully invested in the project, right? So that it's pretty big. What's happening with Bill Gates, this situation, it's a $3.5 billion investment. This is more of like a sample. So they're going to go there. They're going to do what they need to do there. And if it works out how they plan, then what is very likely to happen is that they're going to continue building out these cities. And we'll see how that kind of plays out. But first and foremost, one thing that we know for 100% sure is that what we're seeing now is we're seeing big corporations moving in. We've heard about what's happening with BlackRock, Blackstone, KKR. A lot of the big funds are running out there investing. But Tampa, when you have 25%, 1 in 4 homes trading to corporations, we can see that over the next couple of years, it's going to be a renter nation situation. So my advice, as I mentioned earlier, is to build out an online business, ideally, build out some type of cash flow to where you can bring in the revenue and allocate it appropriately to the right hard assets. Real estate on 30-year fixed rate debt is smart if you can afford the payments. Ideally, if you're a first-time, let's say you're a first-time buyer right now, you're thinking, well, what do I do? My advice would be to get a fourplex. A fourplex that you can buy on 30-year fixed rate debt. You could live in one unit, right? The other 2 units will likely carry the debt. So it'll be the management, not really the management, but more so the upkeep of the yard, the insurance, taxes, mortgage. And then you'll have 1 unit rented that, will hopefully be passive income. And that would then offset any type of cost you'd have towards renting. Big problem that you have to watch out for right now is overpaying for the property and making sure you can buy it right. But I'm going to check out some of these comments and we'll catch up quickly in the chat. There's a lot of them. Let's see here. Let's see. Pale Horse, 33 Strategies of War. Let's see. The Rulers are Servants. Let's see here. Daniel Andrew. Let's see here. Yeah, hit the like button. Yeah, I appreciate that. Yeah, YouTube will share the content if you guys hit the like button. Appreciate it. Gold miners want the stock. A lot of people are talking gold. A lot of people. I actually read an article today saying that in Turkey right now, everyone's trying to get out of the currency. I mentioned it before. I said everyone's probably going to, most people are going to try to put their money in either gold, silver, or crypto. And that was actually the headline of the article because they don't trust it. When your currency loses almost half its value in the last 12 months and roughly 30% in just the last month, people are getting scared over there. Let's see here. Bill ended up buying the entire country. Yeah, he's making moves. There's no doubt about it. I'm not sure they're the best moves, but yeah, he is. Yeah, crazy. John, why are you investing in a red state? Well, if you invest in a red state and you invest in a blue state, you'll understand a little bit differently, as to the benefit, the pros and cons. There's pros and cons. One thing that a lot of people don't realize until they start investing in real estate in different places is that when you invest in a place like California versus a place like Texas, for example, you have different obligations over your property. In a place like California, you have very little, rights over your property. You have very little control. In a place like Texas, you have much more control. And so the point of buying real estate is not just the full control, but you want to be able to do what you want with your property when you want to do it. And when you invest in a place like California and New York, you'll realize how little options you actually have with your own property. And I think it's only going to get harder, especially if we step into more problems, because there's going to be more protections that are going to be in place for tenants that I think it might make things a little bit more challenging for landlords. You got your hands full, Callie. Yeah, I definitely learned a lot in California. So let's see here. Currently living first home, build an ADU, about to build a second home for income. Congratulations. If you don't know what an ADU is, it's an accessory dwelling unit. They're very, very popular in California. You can build out a, kind of like a granny flat on your property, and you can rent it out and drive some revenue. They're actually very, very popular. They picked up a lot of attention over the last couple of years. All right, guys, I'm going to catch you guys on the next live stream. Hit the notification bell, join the next live stream, consider subbing here, and catch you guys later.